Hi, everyone. Duke Rumley with Sober AF Entertainment. We got some big updates for you, and I want to invite my friend Megan to join us, and we're going to talk about what it's like being sober during COVID down in Denver. But first, let me tell you, last night I was listening to Dr. Drew, and on there was two of our speakers for our Sober Safe Bowl, Dr. Art Kleinschmidt and the Honorable Katie Sullivan, and they started talking about the Sober Bowl that we're going to host in Tampa. So we're going to have a real live in-person Sober Tailgate and have former NFL players. We're going to have some great speakers, including Dr. Drew is coming now. So, and we're going to have three musicians. So we're going to have this giant party. It's going to be indoor, outdoor at a treatment center called White Sands, but they have a wellness center. So it holds 400 people and everyone's getting COVID tested the Friday before, and we're limiting it to 150 people. So we're trying to be COVID safe. And that's one of the things Megan and I are going to discuss coming up right now. It's so hard to figure everything out, especially when you run a nonprofit based on sober sections inside music festivals, concerts, and sporting events. So we've gone virtual, and this Thursday we're hosting on Twitch. If you go to Twitch and click on Sober AF Entertainment, from 6 to 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, we're going to have two artists, and we'll play some really cool music, and we'll have an interview, possibly this interview stitched in between. So, Megan, how are you? How are you doing today?
I'm having an awesome day. I like to call Mondays Miracle Mondays.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to rewrite my former ideas of what Mondays were, and so instead it's Miracle Monday. So that's what I look for, is what's the miracle of the day, and here's another one I'm getting to have right now. I think even just how you guys have been able to go virtual during this time, and the way Phoenix has been able to go virtual, and meetings. I think when we're talking about staying sober during COVID times, there's so much to be said about organizations like yours who are really making it happen and creating spaces that everyone can feel safe in.
Well, we are trying. We are trying. COVID's made it really, really hard. And to your point, virtual is great. It's not the same, but welcome to powerlessness, and welcome to learn how to pivot and try to create that connection that we all crave.
Yeah, and I think we're so responsible for creating those spaces. Those of us who are in places like Sober AF, how can we keep this going? The Phoenix, but also the people at home, how can we make this more engaging? I think a lot of us have had to find new ways to show up in life that aren't comfortable. Many people, technology wasn't comfortable. I think many people had to get comfortable with a lot more silence than we're used to, and hopefully it's resulted in some healing. Hopefully it's resulted in some growing. But I know it's been painful for a lot of people to go through this. And so reaching out and having support, I think, is so important.
Well, I've learned that right now we have work stress and home stress being combined because people are stuck together. And I did not think the 12-step community had the kind of capacity to pivot into some type of Zoom meeting or virtual world. And I've been very, very impressed that they have made, a big pivot, and which is good. To survive, you have to, and we just can't go right back to where we were before. And I'm definitely a little concerned how we come out of this. I think there's a lot of people who went to 12-step meetings who didn't like the virtual and are either staying sober or have relapsed, and they're probably not going to come back unless they really, hit some type of bottom. It'll be interesting to kind of see what happens with the 12-step community as far as number of meetings and number of people a year from now after we kind of get through COVID.
Yeah, I'll be interested in that too. I think I personally had some really great experiences with the Zoom, going to meetings in different countries. Got the opportunity to go to some meetings in South Africa, connected with some people out there, and the ability to do sponsorship over Zoom with people who live in different countries. That has been one of the cool aspects of it, is, working with somebody in London and working with somebody in South Africa, and seeing, as far as 12-step goes, that it's a solution and a design for living that really works. And I think there have been times in my sobriety where I've been really meeting heavy and maybe lacking in other areas of sobriety, whether that be actually working the 12 steps, whether that be being more of service. And so I think a lot of us had to recalibrate our recoveries and what was the most important at any given time. And if people didn't want to go to a Zoom every day, and there was a period of time where there was no other options, and there's still some countries and some places where there are not in person. I'm really grateful to be in Denver, where I'm able to go to some in-person meetings now, because I think a lot of us are zoomed out. If you're doing Zoom for work, and you're doing Zoom for interviews, and you're doing Zoom for meetings, it's a lot.
Well, I'm a guy, long-term recovery, love meetings, love the physical aspect, the social aspect of being at a meeting. And, since March 20th, have been to, only maybe 5 or 6 or 7 in-person meetings.
Wow.
I so appreciate you inviting me Saturday to speak and to be a part of. And the meeting in Denver was so well run. They, took your name, contact mapped you in case something happened. Everyone, you got their temperature checked. Everyone wore masks. We were definitely social distanced by being, at least 6 feet apart by the chairs. And it felt full, but not too full, even though there was maybe 20 people in the room.
That might have been thanks to you, Duke. That was the busiest it's been there in a while. And I was like, oh, everybody wants to hear your story.
It was really fun. It was a full house.
Yeah.
Even though there wasn't that many people there, and everyone felt really safe, and just kind of people reconnected and just realized, the spiritual aspect of what we have is not just with, the spiritual entity, but it's with other human beings. And it was really just amazing, kind of that feeling. And it almost was like old home group week. Right? That I kind of felt that way.
Come and join us. We would love to see you there more often at the Old Kent meeting. It's at 8 p.m. on Friday nights at Central Christian Church. And I think one of the things we've been running into is, with the traditions, even of AA, how can we also adhere to the traditions of how we work and relate with others? And some of that includes the CDC, and some of that includes public health. And I think that hasn't exactly been something AA has had to face before, is how can we have these spiritual principles and relate to what's going on this global scale with this pandemic, while still recognizing this is a life and death matter. This is an essential service. This is an essential business. That if other things are essential, this is absolutely essential. Treatment is essential. That's why, I also work at Chrysalis Continuing Care for IOP. And we've been really trying to take whatever precautions are necessary so that clients who need treatment in person are able to come in person, but that we can also accommodate people who feel safer at home. And that's what I think meetings are working on doing as well, like Old Kent, where it's in person now, but it's also streamed on Zoom. So it's accessible for anyone, whether they're really afraid of COVID, or they have health risks they need to be mindful of, or those who are recognizing that they need human interaction and want to come in person.
So to your point, they didn't close the liquor stores, right? We're in Colorado. They haven't closed the weed stores.
Nope.
So somehow that crap is still open, but they closed all the churches for a while. So, to your point, Zoom was all that we had, and it's super instrumental. And, if you, in my case, I visit my parents a lot. and I don't want them to get COVID from me and die. So I try to walk this fine line between well behaved and not being paranoid, and and what does that look like? And I'm at the point like I am ready for this to be over, and I am ready to kind of get back to the in-person interaction when it comes to my recovery support.
Yeah, I'm exactly with you as well, Duke. I think it's looked different depending on how much information we've had at any given time. I think one of the most important lessons I've learned from this whole situation, whether it's about COVID in general or within specifically the rooms of AA, is that we just have to honor our own choices. Because I think we live in a very divisive, it's felt very divisive in some ways in the world, whether it be about COVID or other things. And I think this is things I had to learn in my fourth step inventory, right? Which is that when I'm restless and irritable and discontent, I want to judge, I want to blame, I want to get into all these different, arguments about what's right and what's wrong. And what's been empowering for me is this whole time to just work on what does honoring my choice look like. So whether it looks like staying at home, and I've known people who have hardly left their home since March. Right. But what does it look like for wherever we are on the spectrum to say, this is my choice. I honor my own choice, because if I'm upset at my own choice because I'm angry and lonely or bored, then I think a lot of times what happens is we look out and we get upset at the people who are representing another choice. Because somebody else is representing another choice. If you're still going out, you're still having interactions, you're still hanging out with some friends, and not that what you're doing is impacting me directly, because I'm at home, I'm honoring my choice, I'm staying safe, but you're representing another choice. Whereas in the past, I used to like to believe that I was stuck. I was being forced into something. I had to do something. And I've really worked on, with other people I've been working with or with myself, on what does it look like to honor our own choices, so that whatever we end up deciding, that we don't have to be in a state of division or divisiveness or judgment, because that's just a crappy headspace for us to be in.
So right. Somebody can choose to the other way. It doesn't have to be reflect on me, right? That's just their choice. Yeah. And, and it's a lot of personal decisions right now. And I totally, can get caught in my own head when somebody's not doing what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And like, I'm always right. So I'm pretty sure they're wrong. And it doesn't have to be right or wrong, right? It's just kind of how they're handling this.
Yeah, and I do get on the larger scale of things. We want to recognize how our personal decisions impact others, like what you were talking about with your parents and your family. So there is that delicate balance and that fine line of how can we stay in personal choice while being mindful of others.
So Old Kent, Friday night, 8:00. You can check it out on Zoom. And I'm sure they just Googled Old Kent, Denver. They could find it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it has a Zoom link on there as well as the address. I think the most people we've had in, a very large space is about 20. And we're sticking with the CDC guidelines, which right now say we could have up to 50 people in that space.
Right on. Well, we will be hosting a similar situation with a Sober Super Bowl party. Here is the logo for it. And that's February 7th. It will be free if you want to check it out. Oh, that's not it. This is it right here. So super excited about that. You just click on the link right there. It'll be on Twitch. It'll also be on our website. And we're going to have some great speakers and some great musicians. And 3 hours before the Super Bowl, check it out and have a little fun. And June 18th. We have 1,000 tickets for the Rockies. So God help us. Let's have COVID in the rearview mirror, hopefully by June 18th. And more details to follow on that. But we have discounted seats, sober section, sober tailgate. We're doing a sober tailgate over at the Phoenix, which is a sober support gym that's about 5 blocks away from Coors Field, and I think they're in like 26 different states. So they're a very amazing group, and we love those guys, what they're doing.
And what they're doing on Zoom. I'm so excited about what they're doing on Zoom. I've been doing the 30-minute HIIT workouts on Wednesday nights, and
Oh, nice.
yeah, they still know how to kick your butt online, that's for sure.
Right. Well, I love their yoga. They've given different yoga classes that we've shown before our music festivals and different events. So we're a big fan what they're trying to do nationally, and they are kind of the old guard when it comes to sober support here in Denver. They've been a nonprofit around for 10 plus years.
Yeah, what a great location for your guys for the tailgate too. They're right by Coors Field.
Yes. So we've used them since I think 2018 for any concerts that are at Coors Field and also for the baseball games.
Oh, wow. Well, I hope we're on for June 18th because I definitely love to check that out.
So you can check out our website, soberafe.com, to check out links for purchasing discounted seats. So we're creating all this movement to draw people to the website so they can start hosting their own sober tailgates. We have Project 72, which next fall we're going to ask 72 different groups to host their own sober tailgate nationally. So we're going to honor the 72,000 people who died of drug overdose in 2019. So we are going to honor those people by creating a sober section and a sober tailgate inside different sporting events and different concerts and music festivals.
I love the ownership of that too, because I think in sobriety, one of the things that I got to learn over time is in the past, I waited for things to come to me. I waited for the invite. I waited for someone else to extend the invitation. And one of the best things I learned is the situation is only lacking whatever you're not giving. So if you're missing fun in your life, it's time to be that fun. It's time to bring that fun. It's time to organize to be that person that reaches out or picks up the phone. And I think that's a really cool opportunity for other people to say, hey, if I'm missing something they have going on in Denver in my life, why not just create?
And we're going to teach them how to do it, and they can use our nonprofit status to get discounted seats, and then we're going to promote their event. So ideally, there's 72 different tailgates happening, and we're in the middle of a giant sober meetup, and kind of changing this narrative that the fun stops if you stop drinking.
Yeah, thank goodness that's not the case.
We know it's not the case.
Yeah, we know it's not the case. You and I love Vegas, so we know. We know that's not the case.
Yeah, we know how to have fun. Like, you can have a lot of fun sober. It's a little different, but it's a lot of fun.
I would say, if anything, you have more stamina. That's what I've noticed. You know, where everyone else is on day 2 and, you know, hungover, coming down, whatever the case may be, still going. That's how I've experienced.
I have so appreciated that fact that you do not poison yourself and you are not dying the next day.
Yep.
Or in my case, I was dying for 3 days. So.
And you remember all the fun you had.
Remember the fun. There's money still in your wallet. You know, a coffee is $5, and a coffee with Bailey's is $35. So it's a little cheaper.
Yeah, I spend a lot more money on food now.
Right.
I eat now. That's great too.
Right. Awesome. All right, Megan. Well, thank you so much. Anything you want to say before we kind of sign off?
No, I just want to say thank you so much, and I'm so grateful for what you're doing, because I know it's been really hard. I know this has been a hard year and however many days going into this, and I think it's important that people are aware there's supports and there's communities, and that we're going to stick through this and to do it together. I think it's so easy to isolate during these times, and that's the exact opposite of what we've been taught to do in recovery. That's the exact opposite of what makes us realize that sobriety is fun. And so even if it looks like doing Zoom dinners like you were talking about doing with your family or whatever it is, you just have to find ways to navigate this, because connection is so important.
Amen to that, right? It is so much easier staying sober. So if you're sober, it's easier staying sober than getting sober. Getting sober is hard. It's expensive. It's painful. So hang in there. And if you are trying to get sober, there is a lot of great support groups. And you can reach out to Meghan and learn about the IOP that they have going on there also.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me on here, Duke.
You got it, Meghan. Thanks again.